chance that I have built this up a little too big now that you were the animator of one of my favorite cartoon moments of all time, which is the shiny red button? Is there a chance you have the shiny red button available? For me, being somebody who wanted to do Looney Tunes more than pretty much anything else, this kind of cartoon was, exactly what I aspired to do. And I never knew. I knew you, Chris, like 20 years before I knew that you actually did the scene. So, with that being said, go ahead.
I think I do remember that moment. I don't remember when it was, but I do remember like mentioning that and you saying something to that effect, and you were like dumbfounded that it was you animated that shot. I don't remember that. So anyway, yeah. I'll hit play. Hopefully it'll play, but I can kind of frame through it as well. So let me just set this up. Yeah, like so watch the episode Space Madness, and Ren and Stimpy, the two characters, get lost in space and they get space madness, or Ren gets space madness. And then at the end of the episode, they introduce this button, and it's called the History Eraser button, I think. And he goes into this crazy whole thing about telling Stimpy, do not touch this button. Do not touch this button. And then leaves. And then Stimpy's sitting there looking at this button, sweating and sweating and sweating. And then the announcer's is talking off screen like a narrator. And then this shot here is like suddenly the narrator is a person on screen, and he's saying, are you going to touch the button? Blah, blah, blah. And he said he could do this at the mere push of a single button. And he's like whacking him with his butt. And eventually Stimpy does push the button. Spoiler alert. Yeah, and they end up, I think they end up in hell, or I don't know where. No, that was a different episode. I can't remember. Anyway, but so yeah, boom. So let me see how well I can frame this. So it's a cycle. Because it's kind of cartoony, the announcer's head is actually held and the mouths are separate, and the rest of it is a cycle. And I think I can, no, not that. Sorry, I'm going to do that this way. Figure out how to frame it here. I think it's this way. Yeah. So the timing is such that his butt stays up. Remember, have you guys done the bouncing ball project? Have you done a bouncing ball? This is a bouncing ball, but it's a bouncing butt. Okay, it's just go boom, boom, like a bouncing ball does. The timing is going to be like that. So, and then there's some, of course, when his butt starts to come down, there's going to be some drag. And then it just slams down on his butt. Now, you can't see it here, but there's a lot of wrinkles in there. In his butt crack and stuff. There's a ton of like wrinklage going on in here and stuff. And of course, Stimpy's head, so there's some overlap, right? But because the timing had to feel really hard, his butt just slammed down. I don't know if I can back up here. Yeah. So that's from one frame to another in the timing. So what I did in the animation is like, it's kind of, the drawings are kind of tight together up here, and it just goes bang and slams down on his head. And then the guy's butt starts to go up. Well, after it comes down a bit, there's more wrinklage there. And then it kind of, so the idea was like he was supposed to be like pushing his face into the button to kind of like entice him to hit it. And then dragging up, and there's the pinch where we talked about the pinch. This is a little hard to see in the color, but I unfortunately don't have the cleanup drawings. They're somewhere in a storage facility at Nickelodeon. But there's a little pinch there. That was his butt cheeks pulling up his head. That was like a that was like a revision after the fact when I did the animation, and then I went, it might be kind of funny if like when he pulls up, like it kind of his butt cheeks have pinched his head a little bit and made it like this kind of pointy thing on his head. So that's what that is, the pin. I call it the pinch. And then we're back into it. And then Stimpy's head comes up and it kind of settles in place just enough time for his head to his butt to come back down. So it's kind of does this sort of thing. It hits it. It's doing that. So, you know, there you go. If you want your animation lesson in overlapping action, there you go. It's
your 35-year career into this example.
I know.
But,
35 years baked. Okay. To that point. So I will say, so I did this and you know, I worked on this stuff, Ren and Stimpy stuff. And okay, so that his, you know, this gets crazy stuff. And there you can see how his mouth is like just moving over top of this held it held, half of his head's held and the jaw is just moving, just so that once again, I probably could have moved it a bit, but it just, all the focus needed to be on the butt. If his head was moving around, it would have been distracting from what was Stimpy's head. So I needed to keep it stationary. It made it funnier. But I will say, I worked on this the year before I went to Disney to work on Pocahontas. So this is what I was animating right before I went to work on Pocahontas. So, but the funny thing is, okay, believe it or not, like, remember I said I got a call from Disney and they said, hey, do you have an animation reel to send down? And I went, sure, yeah. Disney features. Disney feature animation is, you know, they're asking for my reel. So I go to my reel. Well, the last year or 2 years, all I've been animating is Ren and Stimpy stuff. That's the latest and greatest on my reel, right? You know, I got other stuff. I had other kind of more featurey stuff on my reel by that point, but this was like, and I was like, should I put that on my reel? Like, it's Disney. It's like, and I went, you know what? It's the stuff I've done. And I think I liked it. It's fun. It's like, it's me. So sure, I could put it all on my reel. And I sent it down. And when they hired me, that was what everybody that I spoke to said, it was like, yeah, that stuff was great. But that Ren and Stimpy stuff was awesome. I swear to God, the Ren and Stimpy stuff was what got me hired at Disney Feature Animation. It's just because I think it was just because the entertainment value of it. And maybe there's a lesson in there for you guys. It's like when it comes to like putting your reel together, put your portfolio together, it's like just put the stuff that you think is the best stuff in your portfolio and show it. Don't hide it because you might think it's not right or not good enough. Well, maybe, you know, if
it needs to be good enough. This was well animated.
Right. Like if it's good enough and it's the latest and greatest, show it and then let them decide, you know, like, you know, the latest and greatest stuff, let them see it. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I talk to a lot of young people that are like reticent about showing stuff because they don't feel like they're good enough to show something. And I've never been that way in my career. I've always been like, I don't know, maybe I suck, but here's my stuff. and you just see, you know, and luckily enough, like people like it. So yeah, you know, I didn't think that, I wasn't sure whether this stuff would, you know, play to the Disney guys, but that it ended up being the stuff that they liked the most. There you go, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna play this sequence for them.
Okay. Should I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Ren Stimpy was, yeah, everything you could tell when you watch that, right? Everything is sacrificed for the expression and the